Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm Samantha Studebaker-Carl, your host, broadcasting to you live from beautiful Southwest Georgia. And I'm here with my good friends Catherine, Dan, I'm going to say Dan Sissick and Dan Smith, Jason Roberts, Catherine Clement, and Sandy Root. And I'm sorry, Christina, I didn't mention your last name because I just started doing last names with the Dans. Christina Irving. So I'm not sure if we're going to have anybody else jump on here with us this morning. I think Julia may jump on a little bit later. But anyway, welcome everybody. And for those of you who are hanging out with us live, go ahead and comment on the page. Let us know that you're out there. And if you've caught this broadcast somewhere just randomly on the internet, jump over to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. That will bring you to our main live event page where you can share your comments and jump in the conversation. I'll actually be able to see you. So with that, I'm going to give my partners here an opportunity to introduce themselves, and I'll mute out. Everybody else mute out unless you're talking. That'll be helpful.
Okay, now no one's talking. I'll talk first. Hi, I'm Catherine Clement. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and I just want to thank everybody for coming this morning. We were talking a little bit about the weather. I've been in long johns for 2 weeks, y'all, so yes, it's fall in Colorado.
Yeah, I'll jump out. Everybody was being polite. Let somebody else go first. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Smith. I'm from Boise, Idaho, and not quite long johns weather, but we've had some really crazy weather swings from, record-setting temperatures of the highs, to almost to the lows. So, it swings back and forth pretty fast. So, anyways, welcome everybody, and look forward to the discussion today.
Good morning, Sandy Root here in Miami Beach, Florida, and still hot here. It's bizarre to me now because I moved here a year ago, and I see the people up north getting their sweaters out and all that, and I'm like, it's just bizarre at the moment, but it's still warm here. Yay!
I'm Dan Sissick, and I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we are still quite warm here too. We've been averaging up over 100 degrees lately during the day, and it's still October. So we yesterday was around like 89 or something. So that was a switch. So looking forward to a great conversation this morning, and I'll jump off and let somebody else introduce themselves.
Good morning, everybody. Christina Irving here. I'm in Northeast Tennessee. Looking forward to today's discussion.
Good morning, Donna Allen from Raleigh, North Carolina. I said my name this time, I guess. Everyone just excuse me. Well, this chapter is going to flow with me today because I'm all in this chapter from the beginning to the end, but I probably won't get to stay with you the whole call. I wish I could, but I was called into work. But look forward to the discussion, and if I don't get to say anything else, I'll put this out real quick. Problems is not problems, they're challenges. Looking forward to discussion. Have a great day. Bye now.
We get everybody? Oh, did Jason fall off? Okay. Rock on. Well, he'll jump back in, I'm sure. Oh, glad you were able to jump on here with us, even if it's just for a few minutes, Donna. That's awesome. And thank you for that reminder. That's a powerful reminder. And okay, so let me just jump over the page here and welcome everybody. Welcome, BG. One of these days you're going to have to jump on here with us, girl. I look forward to having you on the discussion, too. Morning, Heidi. Let's see. Okay, so I guess that's everybody right now. Well, that's all right, because we get a lot of people that watch the recording. And so let me just kind of jump into the topic here real quick. I forgot to mention that when I first started the Hangout. First of all, our topic for today is the secret self-help method for solving your personal problems and reaching your goals. And, if you're new here, what we do every week is we get together and we study personal development books. And the book we're on right now is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And we are on Chapter 18, Solving Problems and Accomplishing Goals. And one thing that we've talked about a lot recently and throughout this whole book is the power of self-talk and how effective it can be at really helping you in every aspect of your life. Last week we talked a little bit about changing our attitudes about stuff. We each shared some different examples of how we can change our attitude in order to improve our circumstances. And this week we're going to talk a little bit about problem solving and reaching goals. And so I want to just give everybody a chance to jump in and say, what was your biggest takeaway from this chapter? And welcome, Julia. Glad to have you on.
Thank you. Good morning. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so who wants to jump out first and just kind of share your best insight from this chapter?
Well, I'll say something. This was a very interesting chapter for me because I never really looked at my accomplishments or anything that I have ever finished or a goal that I've ever completed as a success. I was always future-oriented, so I was always looking into the future. I wasn't looking at the step-by-step process, which in reality is a success. I looked at them as problems instead of challenges to overcome. So this chapter really helped. I feel so much better about myself, and I look back at everything that I've done over the 2 years, and I can say that I'm really, really. I mean, last week I was proud of myself. This week I'm even more proud of myself. I've overcome a lot of challenges that I never really celebrated or even thought of. Never took it a second thought, and this is just amazing. This was a really good chapter for me. It gave me a whole new perspective.
Julia, I think a lot of people, are like that. They don't look at what they're accomplishing every day. I hear so many people say negative things about themselves, and I can see all these great things that they've done, and I'm sure all of you on the panel and in the audience are the same. You see people that always knock themselves down, and yet you can see all the amazing things that they're doing, but like you said, we don't look at the piece by piece. We just tend to be so future oriented, and I guess that's one of the gifts of having some of the physical challenges that I have, is that I celebrate everything. There are days if I can, fix a meal for myself, or someday, in the past, thank God it's in the past. Some days, just if I was able to get up and brush my teeth or actually make it to the bathroom, that was the accomplishment for the day. So, and now as I rehab myself, if I can do a certain number of stairs in a day, or if I can, if I can do two chores in a day. Like yesterday, I was sewing on a baby quilt and I cooked a meal. It was an amazing day. So, you got to celebrate all that little stuff, but it's the same thing in business. Think about when you first got on the internet, when you first came online, you first started opening an email. I didn't know how to open an email, and then look at what you're doing today, all the things that you can do without even thinking about it. It's like learning to tie your shoelaces. The first time you do it, you really have to focus on it. You mess it up, but you just keep trying and trying. And that's kind of how we do, but we don't keep track of those successes. We don't celebrate the day, oh, I tied my shoelace, without thinking about it. And we do the same thing, in our businesses or some of these internet skills. Most of us at this point have enough skills that we could market ourselves for those skills. So just take a minute. I know, Christina, you're going to have a lot to say about this because this program that you're involved in, this is exactly what it's about, is actually looking at what you're worth and celebrating that. So I'll hush and let you come out, baby.
Well, Catherine, I think you were reading my mind. I was jumping at the bit, chomping at the bit. But yeah, absolutely, I totally agree with what you and Julia were saying. And literally, I think it comes down to two concepts that I've learned and I am integrating, and it's helping me feel so much better. And one of them is going back to what you were just saying, Catherine, where we discount and devalue our skills and what how many skills we literally do have, because the world tells us what value amount that we can put on a skill. Something as minute as brushing your teeth or tying your shoe or driving your car, we don't think of that as a skill. We just completely discount it. However, it really is a skill. It takes a lot of skills to actually put a whole action together, right? And so that was one thing that I wanted to point out, is really being mindful and aware that literally every little thing you do, even those things that you've become so blind to that you've forgotten that you do, or that you've forgotten that you have a passion of, like quilting or singing or dancing, because someone somewhere down the road laughed at you or made a joke or said you can't do that so well, and you've started to suppress it. Even those things are massive, right? And deserve to be recognized and honored, right? And then the next one comes in. I think the next point is really appreciating and not beating yourself up, because I think in a lot of times, especially in business, we kind of learn that whole thing of I'm being accountable if I'm calling myself out and I'm beating myself up. Now, there's a difference with being accountable to yourself and being accountable to other people and beating yourself up, right? So it's very important for us to take some time, and I'm going to shut up right now because I will go all day on this topic, because that's something that I'm growing from, right? But it's time for us to recognize that there is that thin line, and you absolutely should be accountable, right? But beating yourself up, I should have done this, and I could have done better about that. No, because that's in the history. You can't do anything about that anyway. So give yourself some love and compassion and forgive yourself and say, okay, so what is it that I could have done better, not even better, that I could have done differently to get a different result the next time?
I think I agree with you, Christina, because for me, I know that I tend to really beat myself up because I wake up in the morning and start with a set of goals that I want to do, and then by the end of the day, I've been pulled in so many directions, or I lose my focus because I am not the best list maker of things I want to get done, and it doesn't come natural to me. I just tend to, in my head, have things. So I think I tend to do kind of like what you're saying. I beat myself up and forget to look at the successes I've had of the day of what I did want to get done, and also celebrate those successes to help keep me moving myself forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe move in a little bit different direction, and we've kind of been moving down a vein here. But anyway, one of the things that really stood out to me says I'm just going to read a paragraph here. It says, just by understanding that the subconscious mind recognizes, accepts, and acts on problems in the exact same way that it helps us reach our goals, we can change in a positive way how we look at many of those things. And I'm gonna throw my glasses on here. I can read it without, but it's easier if I have them on. Okay. In a positive way, how we look at many of those things in our lives that we have been told are natural circumstances of life, which when overcome automatically and naturally result in the achievement of goals. You cannot solve a problem without reaching an objective. And I think just one of the things that just really stood out to me is that the subconscious or the mind acts in the same way, whether you're trying to solve a problem or whether you're trying to set and hit a goal. That it's the same function of your mind, and it's doing the same thing. I mean, I've read this book several times in the past. I originally read this book more than 15 years ago, and but it's just being reminded of these same truths that you already know, but then you just kind of have a tendency maybe to forget sometimes. And something else I'll read here real quick. This is another book that I just picked it up last week, and it's a fairly old book. It's called The Power of Your Words. Looks like my camera's working really slow this morning. It says, realize that we will never rise above our confession. We are getting to the place, yeah, I'm not going to finish that. Anyways, it says we will never rise above our confession. And I'm going to go back here and read this back here real quick too. It says, faith, which is what we're really doing when you are working on your auto-suggestion, when you're programming your mind, you're actually building faith. It says faith holds fast to the confession of your words. Sense knowledge holds fast to the confession of the physical evidence. And so going on your sense knowledge, what your senses tell you, your 5 physical senses, they look at the situation that you're in, and they tell you where you're at. And if you start confessing based on that, it has a tendency to keep you stuck right where you're at, because you don't rise above the level of your confession. And that's where faith holds fast to the confession of your words. And so that's so important, that it goes hand in hand with the whether you're solving a problem or setting a goal, and the words that you speak. Do you put your eyes on the physical evidence, the things that your 5 senses tell you, or do you hold fast to the confession of your words? Because you have something that's called double-mindedness. If you're speaking positive things with one breath, and then you turn around and you speak negative things about the same thing, I think that's what you're talking about, Dan, is that you beat yourself up because you maybe set some goals, and then you don't get there, you don't get quite as far as you thought you should get that day, and then so your confession turns negative. So then you start self-flagellation. You start beating yourself with with a whip or sticks or whatever, or words. You beat yourself up with words, and then you just totally negate your positive confession, and you kill it, you slay it, and barbecue it, so to speak. So just the importance of the words that we speak, and how much weight that those words have. And I think, Christine, what you're talking about, don't beat yourself up. Show yourself some love and some compassion. Hey, I'm human too. So yeah, I'm a mistake maker, but I'm also a mistake breaker. So I'll let somebody else talk.
Yeah, I thought that the distinction that they made in the chapter there, that was a good reminder to say, okay, remember that the goals can be, little things. It's not just this big mambo, obnoxiously huge thing that's out there in the future. Like we all have these, great and big and awesome dreams. It's not just that. It's those little steps that it takes to get there. And Julia, I appreciate you mentioning about that in the pre-mastermind discussion about how you just kind of paused and you're like, you're realizing all these things that you've accomplished, and I think that's important, as everybody has to realize that you accomplish things every single day, and to remember that it's super important. And I thought it was interesting what they talked about, the same thing with the word success. It's just been so overused that we get it in our head that we're not successful unless we reach these huge attainable dreams and goals, right? But yet it's the little stuff, it's that daily actions, it's the daily things that we accomplish consistently that is really where our success lies, because we can't have success in the future because the future isn't really here. It's only right now. Right now is all we have, and unless you're being successful in this moment, are you really even being successful, right? So let's kind of talk a little bit about let's kind of move on. Let's see here. Somebody else want to jump out real quick? I'm going to regroup my thoughts. I lost my train of thought of where I was going.
I'll just go over Well, we already went over a little bit, but yeah, I was thinking of a video I had done recently about success that came to my mind when you just mentioned that. How it's so many people are focused on that big success forward, or a lot of people, when I sometimes in the past I've spoken about success, people automatically tie it to financial success. It's money success, and I'm like, that's not what success means. It could mean anything. It could mean I've helped somebody today. I held the door open for somebody. I mean, there's success is different for everybody, and it can be something so small. It doesn't have to be that huge thing that we see in the future. And I actually had that come up this week when you were talking, Catherine, about celebrating the small successes. I had some in my business, and I sort of just like let it float over my head. And later, like a day later, I'm like, you know what? I need to celebrate that. It's something that, it may seem small to me. It would have been huge to me 3 years ago when it first happened. I would have been like bouncing off the walls, but this time I was sort of numb, and I'm like, that's not right. Like, I need to celebrate this, So I realized that and remembered. I even did a video about that a couple of years ago about celebrating the small successes. So, it just goes to show we have to remind ourselves of these things we share with others and teach others. Sometimes forget in ourselves. So this chapter was a good reminder for me this week of all of that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sandy. Oh, did somebody else want to jump out?
I was just going to say one other thing, and that's that I'm starting to recognize too the tendency that we have to that I have at least, in the past has been to really be short-sighted, right? So I think so often people are so short-sighted that we want the immediate gratification, the immediate results, and we want the immediate empire. We want the immediate big bucks. We want the immediate status, right? And we want it to be grandiose. Like that's the level of accepted and suggested success. So Sandy, going back to what you were saying, it would be so great what if we just started recognizing that it's a journey, and along that journey is going to be a lot of smaller, like great celebration moments, right? Instead of really looking for that end goal right now, tomorrow, or today.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. What do you guys think about, is starting to talk in there about the differences between problems and goals? Like if you think you've got a problem, or if you're trying to work on a goal, and was kind of suggesting that it's the same thing. If it's something that you want to overcome, then it's a challenge that you have to set a outcome for. And so it was talking about that. What do you guys think about what he was saying as far as problems versus goals?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, or alluding to, that you use the same part of the mind, and I'm sorry, I kind of losing my train of thought. I'm not stoned, but we had our carpets cleaned yesterday, and they used chemicals in here, and I've been huffing fumes all night long. And if I seem like I'm not really on it this morning, it's probably because I'm not really on it this morning. There's like a huge disconnect between my brain and my mouth this morning. So anyway, I apologize. I haven't been smoking the wacky tobacco, but anyway, I am a little bit off this morning, so I apologize for that. But yeah, just that's what that little section I read earlier this morning about how you're using the same part of the brain, whether you're trying to solve a problem, or like my wife, she likes to do puzzles or crossword puzzles. She likes to put puzzles together. She's always working on some kind of a puzzle, and she loves those things, and she's always asking me the answers to those things, and I'm always saying, well, there's a reason why I don't do those things, because I don't like them particularly. But the part of your brain that you use in order to either set a goal because it's something out there in the future that you're working towards, or to try to solve a problem, that you're using the same part of your brain. And I put a quote in both on the page, and then I put a quote here in the chat. But Earl Nightingale, I think, was the one that came up with this thing. But he says that success is a progressive realization of a worthwhile dream or goal. It's not a destination. It's a progressive realization of it. In other words, it's a journey. And I think Christine said that earlier. And so it is a journey. You know, yeah, we set goals, but there's growth that has to take place between point A and point B, where you want to go. Or there's a book that I've got, I can't remember the name of it right now. Anyway, they talk about ABC goals, and A is the dream. A is where you start out. You get this grandiose idea. I want to go conquer the world. I want to do blank, whatever the blank is, and then you go from an A zone where you're excited into a B zone, and that B zone is growth. That B zone is going down into the salt mines where it's 110 degrees down there, and it's hot and it's sweaty, and you're down there and you're just wringing the thing out, and it's hard, okay? And sometimes you want to quit, and sometimes we do quit because the road is just too hard, it's too rocky, okay? But if you work through that B zone, then eventually you come into a C zone, and that C zone is where you're actually living your dream. And at any given time, you might be in several different portions of an A zone in one area of your life, a B zone in another area of your life, and a C zone in a different area of your life. So it's like you're juggling balls. Or you remember those old plates back like Ed Sullivan's show? They used to have these, and I'm dating myself, maybe some of you don't even know who Ed Sullivan was, but anyway, you have these acts on there where they had all these poles sticking up, and they had round plates on them like a dinner plate, and they'd start spinning the plates, and they'd have to jiggle this pole and get the plate spinning, and then they'd go around, they'd try to get whatever 10, 15, 20 different plates all spinning at the same time. So each one of those plates spinning on a pole was some of them were in an A zone, some in the B zone, some in the C zone, because they were all in different. Some of them were speeding up, some were slowing down, some were almost ready to stop, you know. And so the same portion of your brain that you use in order to solve a problem or to set a goal is the same portion that you use to to do all these things. So anyways, I've talked long enough, and I'll just sit here and spin.
Jump out there, Donna.
Yeah. I apologize, guys. From my heart, I'm multitasking. But anyway, won't have. I truly got up this morning, and we're talking on the subject. Everybody touched in on everything that was running all around in my brain, and I don't know if you are. When you go back and we say, just being born was a success for me. just throwing that out there. I was born on the magic month, the May month. But anyway, I got up this morning. I said, wow, I want to be on that hangout. I'm here because I want to be here, not because I need to be here. I want and I desire and I love to be with this group. It's like everybody says this, when you're not with you, it's like you're missing a part of something. That's because you become a part of it. But I used to say, I don't know if anybody else, but I used to say, boy, this is a problem. Oh, this is a problem. And then I would turn around and what Dan was saying, you can't be positive and negative at the same time. Oh, this is a challenge. Oh, this is a challenge. So what this chapter helped me to do was to put that in perspective and look at, and I won't read it there, but it's in the chapter. Don't look at the problem as a problem. Look at it as a challenge. And see, instead of seeing the goal, see the objective of that challenge. And we face them every day. Just like this morning, getting up here, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I'm challenging me all over this house, so to speak. But yes, it is. It's the small steps. It's the small baby steps. I'm happy. I'm having a blessed day. Guys, I love you. I'm going to have to run. And I just say be here for each other, support each other. Hey, one day we need this. Now, this may somebody say, no, there's differences in want and need, okay? And when I say need, you guys understand what I'm saying. It's not needy. The support, that's what I'm trying to say, support. Love you. I see big things happening here. I don't know where it happened. Samantha, she gone. But I'm going to get up with her later in the week. I just see big things happening for this group. I know you all are with me on that. There's big things going to happen for this mastermind group. I see it. Love you. Have a great Saturday. Bye for now. Bye now.
Bye, Donna.
Bye,
But
Donna. Bye.
I kind of wanted to piggyback real quickly off of what Donna said, because I was talking about thinking of it as like challenges. I personally, for me, I look at it as opportunities. I see opportunity, right? I don't see challenge. I see opportunity, opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn, opportunity to try different things. But I changing my mindset to look at situations and things as opportunities has really helped me a lot. I don't know about the rest of the panel.
I think you're absolutely right, Christine. Absolutely right. Wow, wasn't Donna on fire there? I love it. She's got great energy, and she's so right. There are huge things to come for Saturday Morning Mastermind, and I love how it's growing. It's great to see everybody on here today. Sorry about that earlier. My computer did a little. It overheated, I guess. But hey, problem solved, and that became a sudden goal of mine to solve that problem and get back on here so I could talk to you all. Yeah, Christine. I mean, absolutely, it is. And this the way that they're presenting all this information right now on the about solving problems and giving us a different way of looking at it, like you're talking about, is huge. I love that. So anyway, I'll let someone else talk.
Jason, I would like for you to talk some more. Do you remember the conversation we had after the hangout last week about problems?
Yeah, I sure do. Do.
Can you bring up what you told us on that, please?
Okay. Yeah. Well, last week I spoke on a relationship issue I was having with a friend where basically they were okay. I have to back up. Or when I as a kid, I was always told that I was or that it would be good to be a good problem solver, and so I strived to be one, and then I guess I was told one, and so I was looking at. I've always been looking at problems of looking for ways to solve problems, but I realized that if a lot of the other self-help books talk about how we speak our intentions into the world, and that what we allow to populate our mind flows back to us, and that and so it kind of I made the my friend was just saying that he was kind of tired of me trying to solve all of his problems, and he kind of was taking it the wrong way and taking it as some criticism, but it was really just the way I had been programmed. And then I had kind of a small breakthrough and realized that because I strived to be a problem solver and became good at solving problems, I was actually not only was I actually projecting these problems out and they were coming back to me, but it was causing people weren't understanding where I was coming from with it too. So yeah, that's the breakthrough I think you're talking about, Catherine. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you for sharing that. I just thought that was a huge realization. Some of the things that we think that we do well, then we tend to, in your case, it was problem solving. Then you looked for problems to solve because that's what you were good at. So I just thought that was such a major breakthrough. I do want to bring up that sometimes it helps if we are going to compare ourselves to ourselves, never compare yourself to somebody else. But if you're going to compare yourself to yourself, at least do it with some time. Like sometimes there's a lot of frustration. People are trying to learn a new skill, and if they don't learn it in one day, they're beating themselves up. I mean, the amount of information that we receive on a daily basis is so huge. I mean, at any given time, I have at least 20 tabs open on my computer. Look at my favorites list. Oh my God, right? it just goes on and on and on. So we have to, like with me, when I look at, well, am I progressing in this area? I don't look at yesterday. I look at, weeks ago or months ago, or maybe for some things in my life, it's even years ago that I need to compare to. So I think we're in that instant gratification and information era where we just expect instantaneous results. But like you said, Christina, be kind to yourself. You give yourself more than one day to learn how to master something.
I found it interesting in the book that it mentions overcoming problems and accomplishing goals are one of the same thing. I realized that I put on a lot of stress on me, maybe that wasn't necessary, because what I consider to be a problem, I considered it to be, okay, this is serious and I have to do some damage control. But when I was overcoming or focusing on a goal, I never looked at it as a problem or a challenge. The challenges and the goals, and I'm sorry, these birds are just going off today. But a problem to me was something very serious. A goal and a challenge was something I knew in over time, it would be taken care of. A problem would have to be dealt with right now, like it was urgent. And it was saying that the brain it's one of the same, but I was treating it as if it was different. And so now when I come across a situation, I'm going to have to look at it and say, is this really a problem that's going to require damage control so I don't overreact? Or is this something that I could take care of step by step and, look at facts first? So that was very interesting in the chapter for me.
I have to agree with you on that, Julia, because for me, I tend to look at problems as being the nuisances and stuff that I don't want. They're like, why is this problem here? Why do I have to deal with it? I'm working on this goal to get here. Why do I have this problem? Why do I have this? And I think I agree with you. I think if I change how I look at it and see, is it just a stepping stone and the opportunity to learn and grow while I'm working towards that goal, I might help achieve my goals faster, maybe, instead of sabotaging myself.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that point, I was watching a video with Oprah Winfrey. She was doing some kind of interview. Somebody was interviewing her, and she was saying that basically success, you're on your path, you're on your journey, but God always has a way of putting something in your path, not to trip you up or to hurt you or anything like that, but more or less just to guide you back on the right path when you kind of veer off to the left or the right? So for me, I certainly know that that's certainly something that's present in my life. When I'm kind of going off to the wrong way, the Lord is like, no, let me do this. And there's that moment where I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to check back in, right? I got to get back on this right path.
One of the things that I found really interesting was towards the end of the chapter where he's talking about he was writing confessions for weight loss, and that he identified 14 different areas that all pertain to just the one subject of weight loss. And it's different things that I've been programming for years. I might only have one or two sentences, and then when you look at what he's talking about there for 14 different things just for losing a few pounds off of your body, just how really intricate and complex really that the programming that goes into your mind, how complex that really is, and that one of the things that I've recognized for a very long time is that you can have a positive goal, but if your wording's not right, you're actually defeating yourself, because you're actually programming a negative thought into your mind when you have a positive goal, but you're self-sabotaging with negative thoughts. And it's just looking at the amount of different things that he put in there in the book, just for that one thing, just for weight loss. When you look at 14 different ideas coming from 14 different directions, of what causes it, what are all the things that are behind it, it's really incredible. So I'll let somebody else, talk about that.
Sorry, I had to step away, guys. Oh, jump out, Christina. Go ahead. I'm kind of behind on the conversation.
No, I've been chatting anyway. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the self-talk statements a little bit because it's such a great point to remember that you've got to come at it from different angles when you're creating that new self-talk for yourself. And it's just like last week when we were talking about attitudes, and I had shared that I was a little nervous and freaked out and everything about my daughter being pregnant. And when I really started addressing all the different issues that were coming up and changing those into what I wanted to be the ultimate outcome, then I realized that I just needed to, I needed to talk to myself from different aspects, not just don't be upset or I'm a happy person or I'm not stressed out, but to actually address those things that were important, such as I wanted to be sure and know and have my daughter know that I was loving and supporting of her. So then I was, created a self-talk statement that was about loving and supporting her and her baby and her boyfriend, and getting along with his family and getting along with, her roommates or whoever happens to be a part of this, and then, helping provide financial support and helping to take care of the baby. It's like all these different aspects of this one main issue, and when we create the multiple statements to cover all the different aspects, then what happens, which I found was really interesting, because I love the fact that, sometimes we get into a book and we read it and we're like sitting there going, okay, I get that, I understand it, but then maybe you don't have like a specific problem to deal with right at that moment. But yet, like last week, it was so opportunistic, I guess, that I had this problem that I needed to address. And when I wrote out my about 10 statements and I just started reading them to myself, I didn't actually do anything other than read these statements to myself. And as I did that, I had this peace just come over me. I had this assured feeling. I had confidence come over me. And what it was like in the book where it talks about, the difference between problems and challenges and goals and that sort of thing. One of the things it says in here is after you create your self-talk statements is just to let go of it in your mind. Quit trying to control the situation. Is just start reading those statements to yourself, and then your automatic mechanism, like what Maxwell Maltz talks about in psychocybernetics, starts to take over and change everything about you relating to that one thing. And I think that's the biggest key right there, is that when we allow for these self-talk statements to do the work that we're asking them to do without getting in the way of them, is they can be so much more effective. What do you guys think?
Sometimes we get... Samantha, I want to bring out one thing that you said there especially, is that the feeling that overcame you. It's so important for us to pay attention to the way that our words make us feel. And even the words problem and challenge, say those two words and feel how they affect your body. They have a completely different vibration. And I think that finding that feeling from your words is the key. I really do. I think it's, yes, I think you can reprogram yourself with rote, but I think when you can find the words that give you that sense of peace about whatever it is you're working on, I think that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine, real quick, do you have maybe the Hangout or something playing in another window? Or something else, maybe TV go in the background or something? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, because there was a little bit of an echo, but I think we could all pretty much understand you. Right on. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that side of it. Now, here's kind of another thing that I want everybody to think about, relating to self-talk statements. And of course, we've kind of addressed things before in the past where we say, okay, these affirmations, we're just going to read them and we're hoping for the best, right? But one thing that I've noticed over the years in reading personal development books is that when I read a new book, whatever it is, it automatically helps to make changes in my psyche or in my programming or in my subconscious mind or whatever. It's like even when you aren't even trying and you're reading something that helps to change your belief system, as that can make just a huge difference in your life without even, I don't know, I just think that it's super powerful when you realize how simple these, just using these self-talk statements can be when you compare it to some of the other things. Just like if you watch a movie that has a really strong emotional plot or something like that, and then you have like a sudden change or a thought that you want something different in your life because of that movie, and it's like it's like a shift almost. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there just to help everybody realize that, I know some people are kind of sitting here thinking, oh, just little saying words, it's not going to do a whole lot, but it absolutely can when you just kind of repeat them a few times. And it's not like you have to do it forever, it's just until you start to feel differently about whatever it is you're trying to work on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Samantha. I wish these birds would stop talking, but let me tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I became very, very ill, and I had to go see a specialist. And I went through, I would say, maybe 8 weeks of treatment, and I got better. And I remember the doctor telling me, the specialist, he said, if this doesn't work, there's nothing we can do for you. And that, I remember like going, that took me back a little bit. And I didn't answer him, but I was just thinking in my mind, what is this man telling me? I'm going to die or something? Do I need to make out my will? Do I have to, start planning my money? Just like all kinds of things. But what I did was I focused on the healing process. And throughout those weeks, I wasn't saying, oh my goodness, because of what this seed that he planted, and it wasn't his fault. I mean, everyone has their own way of communicating. You just don't know how it's going to affect other people. But I didn't sit and focus on that because I realized that I would get even sicker if I focused on that. So I started to think positive thoughts and see myself in the future being healthy and so forth. And so a couple of days ago, I started to get sick again, and I remembered the symptoms from years ago. And so I went back to this doctor, not the specialist. I went back to my regular doctor, and maybe out of the 10 symptoms, I might have had 2, but I just wanted to be safe. And so I had asked him the question. I said, let's say if this was to come back again, would you be able to treat me? And the reason why I asked is because this doctor said there's nothing we can do for you. And he looked at me and he said, no. He said, of course we can treat you. What he meant was if it comes back in a month or 2 or 3 or 6 months, then, there's pretty much nothing we can do for you. So I was so thankful that I didn't sit there and think of this as during that treatment and all these years as a problem or challenge or symptom. I really focused on the healing aspect of it because I believed in it. And these last few days that I was feeling ill it's nothing to do with anything that I had before. And so I'm just grateful I didn't freak out over it and be concerned about it severely. So it's like you said, if I started thinking way ahead, then I probably would have went into that doctor's office bawling and not be able to speak at all, and he wouldn't understand what I wanted to say. So I think it's very important that for myself anyway, that I don't overreact and start making assumptions and creating a problem that's really not there.
I think that's
I hope that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, I think that's big. I'm glad that you're okay, and like really that just kind of highlights, right, that literally we have choice. We have choice in how we're going to perceive something. We have choice in how we're gonna take in the information, and rather than to drive ourselves crazy, right? It's better to, because we can go through every scenario on earth, right? And we can make things worse, we can make them better, we can make them whatever. But rather than drive ourselves crazy, why not just get the facts, right? Why not go to the source, get the facts, and then you know what you're working with in that moment, right? It goes back to working in the moment and allowing yourself the opportunity to let your discernment work for you in a positive way, right? Rather than trying to figure out whatever, all the different scenarios and predict the future, right? Well, I'm glad you're doing all right.
I just wanted to jump out and piggyback a little bit, I think, off what Catherine Clement said, and a little bit of what some other people have said, and how when you speak and how certain words, how they can make you feel. And I've been at a couple events where they've had us like put our hands on our hearts, and as we're saying things, uh, I've realized the connection now, why they had us do it, because I could feel the difference there as I was saying certain things as opposed to saying other things, and I never realized. I always thought they were just having us do it just as something to do. I never got the connection, but in having listened to what Catherine said, how the words and how it really resonates and how it makes your body feel, and I felt it in my chest. I felt the difference of how it felt, and now I'm making that linkage up now, and as I say things, now as I put it out there, it can really have an effect, and like Jason said earlier, and Dan, it can come back to affect me later on as to what I put out in the universe, as to what comes back. I'm done.
I was waiting to see if anybody else was going to add in. Jason, did you want to jump out? You look like you're unmuted.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so much great stuff. Boy, I have to come back to what you said, Samantha, in regards to our attitude about self-talk itself. You know, if you're going to believe, do you believe that it works? You're if you're watching this, then you're here because you're interested in finding out more about it. Your belief level might not be there yet to actually do it. But what he talks about earlier in the book is about how our actions are directed by our feelings. And so I find it interesting when he's talking about solving these problems, his first objective here is to kind of change our attitude about problems, and have us look at it from different points of view, which seems to be kind of one of the running threads throughout the book is being taking a look at and addressing your self-talk from different angles. And I think it is highly effective. And like you add like frequency training or like Catherine was saying, and you come into alignment with these other ideas, like Dan was suggesting. I mean, it really is very powerful, and you'll start to see it. You'll start to see it from a different perspective. And I was trying to explain this to someone the other day. It's like I find it similar to, like, say if you're in a tunnel and you're trying to find your way out, you come to this opening, which is just a shaft, and you can't see up, you can't see down. It's too dark, but you can't see a way out. But you have no way to go back. Going back isn't going to help you. You know that, and if you just stay there, you're going to die of starvation. So you need to keep moving, and moving forward is the only way to do it. But you don't see a way out, and you can only see this little ledge to the left, and you think, well, I can, I've got to do it. I'm afraid of heights. I could plummet to my death, and even if I get there, there's nothing You know, it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, but that's the only way you can go. So you do it. You muster up all your strength and courage, and you do it, and you get there, and then you're like, okay, there's still nothing I can see, no way to get out, no, you know, but you see another ledge that's just as dangerous and just as small as the last, and it scares you to death, but you muster up the strength and courage to get to that ledge, and then from that angle, you see that there's a little ray of light up to the top, and you know, and you get a glimpse of what others are talking about, and that there is a way out, you know. So I thought, you know, because it is kind of hard to explain something like that, but I think that was a good way to do it. So I think that's all I have right now. So much more in this book, and I'm interested in hearing more of what you guys have to say.
Oh, that was a great analogy, Jason. You know, because yeah, we don't always know what the answer is. We don't always know what that ultimate goal is, or what the thing is that's going to help us overcome our problems. And so we have to face it on a day-to-day basis. We have to, you know, make those choices every day to, you know, just take a step, even if it's a small step, to go in the right direction, or in any direction for that matter, if you don't know what the right direction is, right? And it, you know, just for instance, if you're trying to reach a big financial goal and you have no idea how to get started, you know, at least you can take one simple step today of reading a book on finances, right? Or you can, you know, take a class or do something. It may not give you every answer you need, but you may find another step to take after that. Does anybody else have anything they want to add before we wrap up for today? Just any final thoughts?
I just wanted to say there's a part in this chapter where he mentions, and this is in regards to your belief in self-talk as well, where he says, you know, why not take advantage of your subconscious dedication towards making whatever you choose to hold in your mind a reality? You know, it's an automatic response. You know, you don't even have to believe in it, but if you do the self-talk, your subconscious is going to start believing in it, and it's going to give you a better feeling, a better attitude. A better feeling is going to allow you to take better action, and then so forth and so on. So I'll open it up for everyone else.
Yeah, I'll just end my parting words with, I did a Periscope earlier this week, and for me, that self-talk, that positive self-talk is so important. And for me, I'm able to get it done because I have a, well, I like to call it my how can I mindset plus a can't stop, won't stop attitude, right? Those two, you put those two together, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't even have to deal with the negativity. I don't have to deal with the negative chatter or the doubt or whatever, because I'm always asking myself in every situation, how can I make this happen? How can I get to the goal that I want to get to? How can I get the results I want to get? And I always have the can't stop, won't stop attitude when I'm approaching it.
Yeah, I put a quote in here from this book I've been reading, and I was up really early this morning and reading, and I came across these lines, and they just blew my mind. It says, "Faith follows in the footprints of our confessions. Our confessions build the road over which faith hauls its mighty cargo, and you're never going to rise above your confession." And you know what you was talking about, Samantha, earlier, about, you know, just choosing those thoughts, choosing the thoughts that you're going to enjoy this pregnancy, or you're going to enjoy your daughter's boyfriend and family, and that these are not going to be a problem. You know, that technically what you're doing is you're planting thoughts. You make a choice, you write down a thought, and then you speak it, and that programs it. And there's no difference between planting wheat or planting corn, planting a tree, planting a bush, or planting a thought. And it's the choice that you make. You choose to plant that thought, and then as you repeat it, it lodges in your subconscious mind, and it grows like a tree, and then it bears fruit. And I just thought it was so interesting the way that this author worded that your confessions build the road over which faith hauls its mighty cargo. And so, just the words that you speak are actually building the road to your destination as you go. And like Jason, like what he was talking about, yeah, it's dark sometimes, and sometimes you can't see any more than just a few inches in front of your feet. And sometimes you actually have to take your hands and grope in the darkness. But if you continue to move forward, like the attitude that Christina was talking about, I won't quit, I won't stop, I'm going to keep going, nothing's going to stop me. And even though you don't see the way clear right now with your physical eyes, it's something that you actually see spiritually. And maybe you're not there yet, but sometimes you got to just take the time in preparation. Just like that tree that's growing, you're actually growing. But if you continue on and make those preparations and continue to educate yourself, continue to use the self-talk, continue to grope your way through the darkness, eventually you will see that shaft of light. And then it's like a passageway that opens up to you. It gets bigger, larger, more light as you move towards it. So I'm pretty much done.
I just want to say thank you, Dan. That was very, very inspiring. I appreciate those words. I'm speechless at this point. And to all you guys, and Samantha and Jason, Christina, Sandy, Donna, Dan, everyone, I'm just so grateful to be a part of this group. I've learned so much from you in such a short amount of time that even when it comes to my health and my finances and my business, I'm just like, whatever. And if it's not positive, I'm just going to toss it to the side. I don't want to hear it. So thank you guys again. I wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week, okay? Bye.
Well, I'm going to jump out really quick and give my last little bit. I didn't really talk much this week, which is unusual for me. I'm a talker. I love talking. But I got a lot out of this week. Got some great points and things to help me continue on my journey, as I've been involved in what I'm doing for about 3.5 years now. And that's why I love this group. I mean, I found a group I really feel at home with, and I love coming to this group, and I feel lifted up every time I come into this group. So thank you for letting me be a part of it, and I look forward to next week. But I got to go. I got a men's conference at my church to go to, so I will talk to you guys later.
All right. Woo, Dan.
Yeah. We're glad to have you on, Dan, too. Sandy, did you already have a final thought? Did you jump out already? You want to?
It's so awesome to have Julia on, and Donna and Dan when they can, and yeah, it's awesome. It's great. Great stuff, Dan. I really enjoyed that. Dan Smith,
Awesome,
that is.
awesome. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan, Sisik, and Donna, and Julia, and Christina. It's awesome to have everybody on here. Sandy, Jason, you guys all have awesome and amazing things that you share each time on this. And for those of you who are watching, we want to hear what you have to say too. So if you feel like you want to jump on here with us, send me a message on Facebook or on Google+, and we can get you on here as well. Of course, I think we have a limit of maybe 10 people at a time, but we can take turns. So, because this is all about masterminding together and all of us learning and growing together. And so with that, I'm just going to wrap it up for today. We love you guys. We're glad to have you on here with us. We're glad to have the conversation. Okay, so meet us again next week at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Google+, and by the way, I have a page up on our website. Finally, you can go to MindsetMasteryCollective.com, and on there you can find the link to the community, the link to our YouTube channel, the link to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. You can subscribe to our newsletter and connect with us, any way you want to. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it
Yeah.
up. Have a great day, awesome, amazing weekend, and we'll see you again here next week at the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.
See you next time. See you too, BG.
Bye.